My name is Dylan Foltz, and today I'll be giving a presentation on Ted Bundy, also known as the Campus Killer. Theodore Robert Cowell was born on November 24th, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont. His mother was Eleanor Louise Cowell. Um, Eleanor did not want Ted's father to be known. She said that he was birthed by a sailor, fathered by a sailor, I should say, and he was raised by his grandparents, Samuel Cowell, and his grandmother. He was put in an interesting situation since Eleanor had Ted out of wedlock. The family was kind of embarrassed, so he was raised and told that his grandfather Samuel was his father and his grandmother was his mother, while Eleanor, who was his actual biological mother, was told to be his sister. Kind of an interesting situation that they put him in. Um, Ted had a pretty troubled childhood. He showed a pretty early interest in pornography. It was said that he would sneak into his grandfather's work shed at about 3 or 4 years old and try and browse through his grandpa's magazine porn collection. Um, Early on, he snuck into his aunt's room and stole all the knives from the kitchen and placed them around her while she was sleeping. And when she woke up, he had a big smile on his face. Eleanor would eventually marry John Bundy, and that's where Ted actually got his last name. After John adopted Ted, he took the last name Bundy instead of Cowell. As he grew up, he had a continued interest in pornography and would dig through people's trash cans looking for magazines. And he would also peek through neighbors' windows trying to see if he could see women undressing, kind of like a peeping Tom. Throughout his childhood, he had problems shoplifting and stealing. He had quite an extensive juvenile record, but it was expunged when he turned 18. Ted Bundy was very well educated. Despite being somewhat antisocial and an introvert, he was bullied in high school, although he did hold a very good GPA. He attended the University of Puget Sound, and he eventually transferred to the University of Washington to study Chinese. He decided to drop out, and he held a lot of minimum wage jobs. I think he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life and decided to go back to University of Washington to study psychology, where he was much more driven and wanted to achieve a college education. He was then accepted into the University of Utah Law School. Ted Bundy, Ted Bundy's first victim was Karen Sparks in January of 1974. Um, he sexually assaulted her and beat her pretty good. She did end up surviving though. As you can see, he had about a victim a month, a lot of sexual assaults, rapes. He was a necrophiliac as well, would often kill the victim and then come back days, weeks later and actually, I guess, have his fun with the corpse. Pretty out there. He had a total of 30 confessed murders, and officials say that he probably had more. These are just the women that he confessed to. Um, there's been a lot of cases that look like Ted Bundy might have been associated with them, but there's actually no evidence to put that on him. Tying in criminology with Ted Bundy, I found a couple theories that fit. The sociological theory, which was a perspective that focuses on the nature of power relationships that exist between social groups, and on the influences that various social phenomena bring to bear on the types of behaviors that tend to characterize groups of people. I thought that this fit Ted because when you group together serial killers, they usually have an influence of a troubled childhood or something going on. They were abused or had something going on early on, which I feel like fit Ted, even though he says he had a normal childhood. The fact that he was raised by his grandfather, didn't really know his father. I mean, he eventually found out that his mother was not his sister and actually his mother. So I think that had some effect on him, and that would fit under this theory. The general strain theory also says is this perspective that suggests that law breaking is a coping mechanism that enables those who engage in it to deal with the socio-emotional problems generated by negative social relations. I feel like this fit him very well due to the fact that he was deviant in his behavior with his early interest in pornography. He had a very extensive juvenile record of stealing, peeping through windows, things that weren't things that weren't quite normal for a young adult, even a young child. This could also be why he was sexually assaulting women, raping women, killing women. It could have been a coping mechanism that he used to make himself feel better. I felt like that fit very well as well. And in conclusion, I thought I would provide a scripture that I felt fit with everything that I read and studied and researched. From Luke 6:45, it says, "The good man out of his good treasure of his heart brings forth what is good, and the evil man out of evil treasure brings forth what is evil, for his mouth speaks from which it fills his heart." Hope you enjoyed the presentation. Have a good one.